Tony D and Little Joan, and this is a screenwriter's rant on the completely made up adventures of Dick Turbin, starring Noel Fielding from The Mighty Boosh. Smash a like and subscribe. Thank you for smash liking and subscribing. Check out my books, links in the description. Comedy Horror in South Jersey. It's the Pineys, books 1 through 13, available at Amazon.com. Don't forget, Kindle Unlimited is free. So Noel stars as Dick, and he wants to be the most famous highwayman in the 18th century. And so he's robbing people, but he's not good at it. And they make mistakes, and then he's going to be hung, and then his gang rescues them. Here they are finding a bunch of gold bars, and so it's going to be a wacky adventure. It reminds me a little bit of that show Bruce Campbell did. It's going to be there's a lot of jokes about his name. So one of the guys says, "I want that dick in my hands by today." So it's supposed to be adventure and fun. Hey, it's kind of fun. I mean, Noel is funny. If you don't know adventure, you don't know Dick. That kind of stuff. So it's a bunch of crazy characters, and I don't think it's going to last long. It's called The Completely Made Up Adventures of Dick Turbin. With a comedy, they're race swapping some of the characters for the era, which streaming March 1st, by the way, which is fine, I guess. It kind of undermines the realism, which then kind of undermines the comedy, in my view. But sure, you could do that, I guess. So a bunch of crazy things happen, and I don't know, part of a show like this, and I think Noel's funny, and I think the commercial's funny. He's doing bits that are totally anachronistic, right? He robs a bunch of dudes, and then he fills out an evaluation form. Was there anything I could do to make your highway robbery experience better? That's kind of fun. I don't see this lasting, though. I mean, you really got to write a ton of jokes. This will have to be like Police Squad level of jokes to sustain this, because the plot is ridiculous. The setting is kind of ridiculous because you've kind of undermined it a little bit. So you're not going to be tuning in to see what happens next, because that kind of doesn't matter. The only thing that matters in a comedy, and I've said it a million times, is that it's funny. This is going to be a series, so the moment it stops being funny is the moment everybody goes, all right, I've seen this. I've seen enough of this. So that's hard to sustain. Now, Noel might be up for the challenge, at least for the first season. He is pretty funny. If you watch The Mighty Boosh and they go along like that, because they would change The Mighty Boosh. And you get to the next season and be like, whoa, it's completely different. And you got all new characters and the whole situation's different. If he does cool stuff like that, that could work. But that was a BBC production, and BBC television is different. They're run by the government, and they typically, my understanding is they kind of, when they renew a show, they just kind of give you the money. So the people with the money can basically do what they want. I'm sure there's more parameters now because they're very woke, but it allowed shows like Red Dwarf and this and a few others to thrive, because if you got some really good creative people in there, they could go nuts, and they wouldn't have to worry about, well, this isn't good for our advertisers or stuff like that. This isn't that. This is Apple TV. It's different in that it's not network television, so it's not necessarily driven by the commercials, but if he doesn't get the views, I guess they would cancel him after a while. And it's kind of going to be based more on, do they think Noel can bring in an audience? I think if he gets the Mighty Boosh crowd, and they're pretty loyal, I think the show could last at least to the second season. Maybe a third, but it's all about whether or not Noel can keep making it funny. It's got to be about the comedy, because You get out of that comedy space and you try to tell us a story, yeah, that story doesn't work already. Not for me. Historically, you're going to have all this anachronistic stuff. You know, it kind of doesn't matter where the story takes place then. You could just jump to the future and, you know, have all the same cast in a different time period like Blackadder. You know, you can go next season, you get to take place in the 19th century. It wouldn't matter as long as the show's funny. So, I kind of like the era, and I like Noel, so I'm kind of into this. It looks very silly though. I don't think I'd watch more than a few episodes before I'd get bored of it, but maybe it would be good. I don't know. I'd like to see more of the Mighty Boosh cast members show up. Maybe that's being saved for down the road. I don't recognize any of the rest of the cast. John Daly, I think, was on it. Oh gosh, a couple other guys, really funny guys. Now that doesn't mean these guys aren't funny too, but and again, I watched the trailer. It's kind of amusing. If you have Apple TV, I mean, what do you got to lose, right? I say at least give it a chance. I think it could be funny. Now, if they push a lot of woke stuff in it, like, that would suck. Unless they're making fun of it. You know? Unless you're making fun of it. If you're making fun of it, then that could be cool. But we'll see. Anyhow, it's called The Complete Made-Up Adventures of Dick Turbin. Can't really do a 3-act breakdown because it's a TV show. Noel Fielding is Dick Turbin, the most dangerous highway robber of the 18th century. Sort of. The Completely Made-Up Adventures of Dick Turbin premieres March 1st. He sets out on a journey of wildly absurd escapades when he's made the reluctant leader of a band of outlaws and tasked with outwitting corrupt lawman and self-appointed thief-taker Jonathan Wild. I don't know what that means. In this irreverent retelling set in the 18th century, Turbin is the most famous but least likely of highway robbers whose success is defined mostly by his charm, showmanship, and great hair. That's kind of a running gag on Mighty Boosh. Together with his gang of lovable rogues, Turbin rides highs and lows of his new endeavors, including a brush with celebrity, all whilst trying to escape the clutches of the thief-taker. Let's see. Looking at the rest of the cast, I don't recognize the names, but they do put some of these guys were in Downton Abbey, Sandman, Outlaws, Sex Education, Friday Night Dinner. I don't know that. Okay. So Michael Fielding was also in the Mighty Boosh. I didn't recognize him in the trailer. So you got two cast members. So yeah, and if you're a fan of the Mighty Boosh, I don't know how you could not watch this. Anyhow, that's it for me, Tony D, and Little Joan. Check us out on Odysee, Bitchute, and Rumble for our more bass takes. If you can find a more bass take it. And count your lucky stars tonight, because I started making a long video about the comic book industry, and I got about 20, 30 minutes into it, and I just, you know what? I just said, no, I'm not going to do this again. I just resisted the temptation and said, screw this, I'm out. I will be in North Cape May tomorrow at Complete Care I think it's at Victoria Commons, I think it's called, and I'll be there at 1:30 if you're a resident or you have a relative there at 1:30, and then on Saturday I'll be in Sayreville, New Jersey for the I Heart Horror Fest. That's going to be a big one. And then Sunday, I will be at Valares again in the market in Sicklerville. Hope to see you there. We'll see you tomorrow.